Hi, Robin. Let me know when you can hear me.
I can hear you.
How's it going?
Good. It's been a while. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry,
Oh,
Vandy.
that's all right. I hope you had a good holiday season. Seems like work has been pretty busy lately. So, as we're diving in today, I thought we could maybe reflect on some goals going into the new year, and kind of reflect on what we've been improving on here recently and where we want to go from here. So, what would you say are your main goals for continuing into this new year, and what would you say are the things you've maybe been noticing that you've wanted to keep improving on?
So, I guess the aggressive goal is like to start to incorporate all of these learnings into
Yeah,
conversation,
absolutely.
where the words are coming from my head.
Right. Yeah, that it's not just
Um,
practicing random phrases, but actual phrases you would be saying in life.
exactly. And then, just generally, I've noticed, at times when I'm focused, I'm doing
Hmm.
my T's properly, I'm doing the W's properly, but dropping the last consonant of a word is still an
Mm.
issue.
Yeah.
And occasionally, just when you get lazy, you're not focused on it as much as well.
Yeah. All right. So I took a couple notes on that. So conversational phrases and discussion, final consonants, and just generally watching for if you get a little bit lazy with the diction.
Yeah, and
Sweet.
then really take it a step up for polish.
Absolutely. Yes. Great. So with polish, I usually think more of that we want it to be mm, more expressive, and the way that we would want to say it in the context of giving a presentation or a speech in front of people or having an important interview, things like that. Um, so when you say polish, what are you thinking of? I'm thinking of things like phrasing and emphasizing certain syllables. What do you think of when you think polish?
You know, the the way the upper class on the East Coast or like the
Mm-hmm.
Northeast kind of
Sure.
sound.
Yes.
And I was also wondering if maybe I could read. Remember that book you asked me to buy? I did buy it.
Oh, great.
And I was thinking maybe I do like a chapter a week
Okay.
and we can discuss it.
Absolutely. Sounds
Yeah, so
great.
fairly ambitious 2025, Andy.
I love it. All right. So, for that Northeast, more affluent, educated sound, that's more of I would say it's not quite a transatlantic, but that's kind of what we're leaning towards. So, if we think of actors like Cary Grant or Rosalind Russell or people like Katharine Hepburn, that's more of the sound that they would have had. It's a way of talking that has been taught historically. They used to teach it in basically any public speaking settings or classes. It was something that you learned in acting school or if you were going into communications. Now we've leaned a little bit more toward the standard American dialect instead, which is more of a neutral kind of professional, clean, clear kind of dialect, whereas the transatlantic is a little bit more, like you were saying, a little bit more polished, a little bit more elegant, I would say. And it,
Hmm.
to me, sounds a little more well traveled the idea was that it was people who maybe would be traveling in Europe quite a bit. So it's almost a blend, adding in a little bit of a British kind of sound into the language. So it's a little more rounded vowels, a nice warm tone. So you get that sense of elegance and graciousness into the sound. So it's a little bit of a different sound, but it will be still similar to what we've been doing. I actually
Perfect.
think that it might end up being a little bit easier because in the past you've worked on more of a British English. So I think that it may actually come pretty easily to you.
Okay.
The standard American is going to be a little bit brighter. The R's are a little bit more harsh R's sounding. And for the transatlantic, you'll have more of those rounded vowels, more of a warm tone. It's going to have softer R's. The D's and T's will be very crisp still. And
D.
the D or the T is still very crisp. If you listen to casual American English, you'll notice that the D's and T's do get a little bit lazy for standard American dialect. They are not supposed to be. For that, we're working to have it be much more clear and clean and precise. But in casual American English, you'll hear those are kind of ambiguous and neutral sounding and they get a little bit lazy. But for the transatlantic, because it does have a little bit more of that British kind of sound added in, the D's and T's, if you're thinking of a Queen's English, a British kind of sound, it's definitely going to have more of that D and T. So make sure that those are still going to be clean, clear, and crisp. I would say there's a crispness to them. So those are going
Yep.
to be some of the ideas that we have going into that. Now, for the conversational tone, we've been doing really tricky phrases, more tongue twisters. So, as we're transitioning into conversational English, do you want to have set phrases that I choose, but maybe just some standard conversational phrases to begin with? And then at some point, I think it would be great to actually have conversations and have you say what you normally would say. And then I can listen and then give you comments on that. I have another student
Perfect.
that will actually have discussions as part of his lessons because he actually is Japanese and he said, I feel so confident talking about work things, but he said, I don't really know how to have friendly conversation or casual conversation. So going to lunch with a colleague is awkward because he doesn't know how to discuss more casual things. So part of our lessons every week are spending time just having a conversation. We'll pick a topic like, what's your favorite music? And we'll discuss that. Or what books have you been reading lately? And we'll discuss that. So just having a conversation, and then I'll pause and give comments throughout as well. Or I'll correct his verbiage, things like that occasionally. So yeah, I think that might be a good way to transition into that is starting with common phrases and then transitioning to actually having conversations. So, all right. Okay. So, any thoughts on pronunciation? I know that we've worked a lot on that in the past. Have you noticed anything with that or the speed?
Just the laziness.
Okay.
Occasionally, I will try to speak a little slower,
Sure.
and it
Okay.
works, but it's a bit difficult to stick on that pace.
Yes, that makes sense. All right. So, one thing that I want us to think about if we're thinking of that more northeast affluent kind of sound, And it's interesting because I actually have cousins on the West Coast who speak the same way, but it's because they went to private schools and in their speech classes they were taught to speak that way. So, one thing I want you to think about is lifting in your palate more. So, try a yawn for me. Go, and feel that
Oh.
stretch, that open space. So lifting there. Now try like you're surprised. Do a, and you'll feel that lift in this palate. So it's feeling more of this openness in the back of the mouth. That's part of what gives us more of that warm, open, resonant tone rather than that more bright forward placement. So more open back here, a little more rounded shapes in your lip shapes as well. That's something we'll think about too. And then the R's, they don't go away completely. It's not all the way to a British sound like how are you, where there's no R at all. And it's not quite as harsh as the Irish or the standard American with how are you, right? Where you have the R, right? And it's more harsh. So it's somewhere in between. They're just lighter. So if you go, how are you? How are you? And then you go, you play with it till you find that in between. How are you? 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 And you find this like softer R. So try that where you try the harsh R. How are you? And find that
How
harsh
are
R.
you?
Then try how
Are
are you with no
how
R.
are you?
And now
How
play with
are you?
kind of
Are
working
you?
your way to the middle. How are you? How are you?
How
How are
how
you? How are
how
you? And you'll find like a lighter R there. And
how
that's more of that transatlantic northeast kind of sound that we're going for. So when I say things like hey and um, happy, instead of having it be as bright like apple, it's going to be more warm. So, like, hey, hi, how are you? Apple. It's going to stay more rounded throughout. So, keep a little more of a rounded shape to your lips. Just keep those corners in a little bit more, and you'll get that warmer tone automatically. Words like me, if we want it brighter, me. And then for the warmer tone, me, right?
me,
Me, myself,
me,
and I, right? That it keeps that
myself.
warmer tone. It's still clear, but it's a bit warmer. So let's take some casual standard greetings you might run into, like, hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Sure. And that I would say was a little bit brighter, like, hey, how's it going? That more bright forward placement, which is more of what we were going for with the standard American dialect. So now we're going to add that warmth. So the instinct when you say hey is to go more bright and forward. Keep the tongue a little bit more back and bring those corners of the lips in. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, hey,
Mm-hmm.
how's it going?
Yeah, you feel the difference there. Where we have that space in the back, it's a more rounded shape in the front. Instead of, hey, very smiley. Hey, hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. If it was more casual, it'd be more like, how's it going? Right? Without the
Yeah.
final consonants. But for the transatlantic, we will still have nice, clean, clear final consonants. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Mm-hmm. And then if you think of a little bit of that kind of British inflection, how's it going? How's it going? That's a little too far, but we want a little bit of that inflection, like, hey, how's it going? And you'll get a little more of the crispness with the inflection change.
Hey, how's it going?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it becomes a little bit more of that northeast air to it. All right, good. So then let's take some other kind of common phrases you might hear, like long time no see. Now, this one I think will be a little bit easier because you start with more rounded vowels. The first one, you started with a more bright forward vowel. The C is at the end, so keep it in that more like long C, C, long C. Play with putting it in the same kind of rounded shape. Long time no see.
Long time no see.
Good, yes. So then think about how you would say this phrase if you were saying it with the British accent. Long time no see, right? So a bit more inflection there. Long time no see, right? And so now back up off that a little bit. First, try it British. Long time no see.
Long time no see.
Good. Now ease up off of that a little bit. Long time no see.
Long time no see.
And then you feel how it's kind of in between the two. So that was more what we're going for. All right, if we took a phrase like what's up, if I say it with the normal casual way, like what's up, like people don't really enunciate at all if it's more like street language. And then if you have more of that standard American, a little bit brighter, what's up? And then if you have more of that transatlantic sound, more warmth, more rounded, what's up? And make sure those final consonants are really crisp. What's up? Mm-hmm.
What's up?
Exactly. Yes. Good. All right. Let's take something probably more classy, like nice to meet you. So it's leaning towards the like nice to meet you, but we don't have quite that that kind of thing that we would have with the British, but we keep the roundedness. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Good. That was a little bit more bright than I'd like. So let's move the tongue a little bit more back. And then you're going to think of bringing the corners in a bit. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Good. I would also say that with the British, I feel like they gloss over the two a little bit more, but I think energize through the vowels a bit more with your breath, and you'll get more of that transatlantic. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you feel the difference where
Yep.
it's still important, that smaller word. Good. All right, then let's try how have you been? So if I tried it with more of that standard American, it's a bit brighter, more smiley. How have you been? And then if I try British, the H's are not really there. They're a little bit softer, right? And depending on the dialect, they might be completely gone. Like, how have you been? Or like, how have you been? How have you been? They might say bean as well. It depends on the region they're from, right? We're going to do these H's. How have you been? But they're warmer with the vowels more open in the back. So as you breathe in, lifting a bit more and rounding here, bring those corners of the lips in. How have you been?
How have you been?
Good. And you can stress different words if you like that differently. How have you been? That would be fine as well if you want to stress a different word, but just kind of thinking of rounded vowel shapes, warm tone, and clean, clear consonants. How have you been?
How have you been?
Good. Now, for the last word, it's a little bit wide and spread, so think a little more rounded. Ben. How have you been?
How
Taller.
have
So thinking a little more
how have you
tall,
been?
like an oval, a vertical oval.
How
And
have
you'll get
you
more of the
been?
sound. Because if we
How have
do like, how have you been? It's very, very wide and spread and bright, but we're trying to get that warmer tone. So try saying bonbon
bonbon,
and then try bon ben, and say the ben with the
bon,
same
ben,
shape.
bon, ben, bon,
hmm
ben,
So the
bon,
tongue shape will
ben,
change for the ben, but try to keep the jaw
ben,
and the lip shape the same as bon. Bon,
ben,
ben,
bon,
bon,
ben,
ben.
bon,
hmm
ben,
Exactly.
bon, ben,
Yes.
bon,
Now the
ben.
have is also very bright. So same thing there. Think of like hovel. They lived in a
Hovel,
hovel.
have,
Hov,
hovel,
have.
have,
Hov,
hob,
have.
have, hob,
hmm
have, hob,
Yes.
have.
So the palate needs to stay more up. So do that yawn for me again. Have, have.
Have,
hmm
have,
Yes, exactly.
have.
How have you been?
How have you been?
Exactly. Yes, very good. All right, so then let's try some questions asking for information. So why don't we try something like, where can I find the bathroom? If I was saying it with that standard American, where can I find the bathroom? More bright, forward, smiley. And if we do more
So sorry,
British,
Vandy.
oh, yeah.
I think,
Oh, you've got to run.
no, no, no. I was
Oh,
thinking maybe we stick with the standard American dialect.
oh, absolutely. No problem at all. Yeah. So the thing
Sorry.
is, if you're on the West Coast, that's what most
Mhm,
people will be using. It's more if you're on in New York, if you're traveling to that Northeast area, that you'll hear the other.
mhm,
But then also you'll have native New Yorkers who will be speaking with, like they're from Queens or the Bronx. But if you go to places like Boston, you'll hear that transatlantic still. Um, Unless it's more of that, casual, colloquial thing where
Southie.
yeah, exactly, right. So if you think of things like The Parent Trap with Haley Mills back in the day, the family that lived in Boston, they spoke with more of that transatlantic. And then if you think of the family, the dad and the daughter that lived in California, they spoke with more of the standard American dialect. So that would be a good example of the differences between the two. So if you wanted to do some listening, that might be helpful. So if you want to explore that more in the future, I think watching some movies where they would be using that dialect would be really helpful for the listening
Mhm,
exercise. hmm All right,
got
so
it.
no problem at all. We can definitely stick with that standard American. I think a really simple way you can start leaning towards the transatlantic is just think of it as being less smiley. The standard American dialect, I think, in large part, sounds more bright and smiley, is because we have so many people who have come from other places. So if you're smiling, that universally communicates, I am a nice person. I want to connect with you. So if you had neighbors from all different places that had immigrated here, they could smile to show that they were being kind to each other. So, for instance, my great grandparents were from Finland, and so they would have spoken Finnish when they got here, right? And maybe they had a neighbor who was Italian and another who was German. So to communicate, they would have smiled and nodded their head in greeting. Those kind of things would communicate that. So then, if you're trying to be expressing that you want to be friends, you would smile to make that connection. So then over time, that just became part of the culture to be a more smiley language. So on the West Coast, you'll hear more of that. So I think that where you're located, that will be the norm. All right, so why don't we try these same phrases again then that we just did with that brighter standard American dialect. And let's go ahead and speed them up a little bit because that was something we'd been trying to work towards. So let's try the hey, how's it going? And first try it a little bit more moderate pace. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. And then a little bit faster. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
And a little bit faster. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
And even faster. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So the how's it, that got a little blurry to me. So pay a little more attention to that spot. So try the same speed though. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going? Hey,
Yes.
how's it going?
Yes. We got the Z and the T. Excellent. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going? Hey,
Good.
how's it going?
Yes, you corrected it. Yeah, you'll find those spots where you go, "Oh, I can hear myself doing that," or "I need to adjust that." Very nice. All right, let's try the next one. Long time no see.
Long time no see.
Excellent. Long time no see.
Long time no see.
A little faster. Long time no see.
Long time no see.
A little faster. Long time no see.
Long time no see.
And faster. Long time no see.
Long time no see.
Good. Now, this is a phrase, obviously, that's not really grammatically correct. It's just a common phrase that people say, basically to say, I'm happy to see you after not having seen you for a while. So it's a I've missed you kind of phrase. So I think this one doesn't need a whole lot of inflection anyway. So you can say it fast. Long time no see.
Long time no see.
Yes, good. I think you can get through the long a little bit faster. Long time no see.
Long time no see.
Yeah, and then you can go more quickly through. You were kind of stretching the long out, and then it was harder to pick up the pace. So make the long a little bit shorter. Long time no see.
Long time no see.
Good, yes. The no, you're stretching a little bit as well. So it's those rounded vowels you're elongating a little bit. So just make them a little bit shorter. Long time no
Long
see.
time no see. Long
Yes.
time no see.
Yes, good.
Long time no see.
It's a little bit tricky to make those faster because for the rounding, you're rounding the lip, you're changing the shape, right? And this goes rounded, unrounded, rounded, unrounded. So it has to be that lip shape changing quickly along with the tongue shape. Long time no see.
Long time no see.
Yes, very good. That's better. Work on that. Let's try what's up.
What's up?
What's up?
What's up?
Excellent. Now a little
What's
faster.
up?
What's 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 up?
Good. Yes, like you're asking. Yes. And a little bit faster. What's up?
What's up?
Good. Yes, that's a lot faster. I like it. Awesome. All right. So then let's try nice to meet you. All right. So make sure all of these T's are crisp in there. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Good. Nice to meet you.
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 Faster? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Excellent. Very good.
You know, Bandy, also
Yeah.
like there's obviously the way you say it, right? Like
Mhm.
nice to meet you.
Yes.
But what I've found fascinating is when people say it's nice to meet you. You know, just
Hmm.
a touch of the
Of
it's.
class, yes. It's nice to
Yeah.
meet you. Yeah,
And what is that? Is that just proper grammar?
yes. If they
Got
say
it.
nice to meet you, it's a common phrase you'll hear. However,
Hmm,
it's shortened. So they're leaving off a word in the sentence.
got it. Got
Yeah.
it. So polish is more than just the way it sounds. It's
Right.
also just using better grammar, I guess.
That's true. Yes. That's a good way to put it.
Interesting.
Correct. Yes. So little touches, like even if people normally would say a certain phrase, asking yourself things like, is this grammatically correct? And how would I change this common phrase to make it grammatically correct?
Mhm. Got it.
Yeah. So those could be some good things to consider and reflect on. So then, what would you say then, looking ahead then, what would you say would be maybe your goal for our next session?
I'm not sure. I
That's
mean,
okay.
part of me says because we've missed so many classes, just to
Hmm.
start to kick the tires on finding
Absolutely.
areas of.
Yes. Excellent. Sounds good. All right. So that's what I'll plan on doing then. Excellent. Okay. I've got some ideas of where we're headed with all of this. So I think this will be fun working on the more conversational language and also the pacing. We'll keep that as well. And thinking a little bit more about elegance and polish and coming across as more affluent and well educated. Because when you're in those settings, in those circles, you want to come across as more elevated. If you're going to something like a fundraiser, a ball that's a charity event, something like a corporate gathering, an event where you'll have your CEO and CFO in attendance, things like that, you probably want to come across as more polished in those settings. So I think this is a great shift of focus.
Perfect.
Nice work today, Robin. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll just keep on track with this. I took some notes and I'll make a lesson plan moving forward. Excellent work. It's great to see
Thank
you.
you.
Bye, Robin.